The first time I saw the alien queen, I thought she was a statue. Not because she stood still, but because no living being I had ever seen carried such impossible elegance. Her throne hovered above the silver floor of the great hall, surrounded by towering pillars that glowed with soft violet light. The ceilings stretched hundreds of meters above us, filled with swirling constellations that weren't projections. They were windows into space itself. The Palace of Zithera, the capital world of the Aurelian Empire, was unlike anything humanity had imagined. And yet, despite all that wonder, every being in the room stood frozen. Not in awe, in fear, because of a single rule. No one was allowed to touch the queen. Not servants, not soldiers, not diplomats, not even her own kind. The rule had existed for centuries, and breaking it meant death. My name is Daniel Carter, former deep space engineer for the Earth Coalition. 3 months before that moment, my cargo ship had been caught in a gravitational storm near the edge of the Aurelian Empire. When my engines failed, I expected to die drifting among the stars. Instead, an alien patrol ship found me. They didn't destroy me. They captured me. Humans were still a mystery to most alien civilizations, and the Aurelians were no exception. So they brought me to their queen. That was how I ended up kneeling on the glowing floor of her throne chamber, surrounded by guards with weapons that hummed like living creatures. The air itself vibrated with tension. An alien official stepped forward and spoke in a melodic language. A device around my neck translated his words. "Human Daniel Carter," the translator said. "You stand before Queen Lysara, ruler of the Aurelian Empire." I slowly lifted my head and finally saw her clearly. Queen Lysara was tall, even while seated. Her skin shimmered like pale moonlight, and faint patterns of light moved beneath it as if stars lived inside her veins. Her eyes were deep silver, not cold, just ancient. Her long hair flowed like liquid crystal down her shoulders, and a crown of living metal hovered above her head, slowly rotating. She looked at me with curiosity, not hostility. That alone surprised me. "Stand," she said. Her voice was calm, but it echoed through the chamber as if the walls themselves obeyed her. I stood slowly. The guards tightened their grips on their weapons. The queen studied me. "So this," she said softly, "is a human." I shrugged slightly. Last time I checked, a ripple of whispers moved through the court. Apparently sarcasm wasn't common here. But the queen smiled. Just a little. "You are not afraid," she observed. "Oh, I'm terrified," I said honestly. "I'm just pretending not to be." Another ripple of whispers. The queen leaned forward slightly. "Interesting." Over the next several days, I learned about the Empire. The Aurelians were one of the oldest civilizations in the region of space. Their technology was centuries ahead of humanity's. But their society revolved entirely around the queen. Not because she ruled by force. Because she was different. I heard the rumors from palace servants. Whispers spoken only when guards weren't listening. The queen possessed a strange biological ability. Her body produced an energy field, an unstable one. If anyone touched her skin, the energy would react violently. In the past, several attendants had died instantly when accidental contact occurred. Since then, a law had been created. No one was ever allowed to touch the queen. Not under any circumstances. Which meant something else too. She had lived centuries without physical contact. No handshakes, no embraces, no comfort. Total isolation. Even in a palace filled with thousands of people. When I heard that, something about it bothered me. A week after my arrival, I was summoned to the throne chamber again. This time, the court was smaller. Just a few advisors and guards. The queen watched me approach. You adapt quickly, human, she said. I've had practice surviving weird situations. Indeed. She stood from her throne. Everyone in the room stepped back immediately. The distance around her grew larger. A silent circle. Untouchable space. You are different from my people, she said. You speak freely. You question authority. Yeah, I said. Humans do that a lot. She walked slowly across the chamber, studying me. I have been studying your species, she continued. Your history is chaotic. That's a polite way of putting it, but also fascinating. Then she stopped only a few steps away from me. The guards tensed. You are not repulsed by my presence, she said. Why would I be? Most beings are. I shook my head. You just look like someone who hasn't had a friend in a very long time. The entire chamber went silent. One guard actually gasped. Apparently no one talked to the queen like that. But she didn't look angry. She looked surprised. Over the following weeks, she summoned me more often. Sometimes to ask about Earth. Sometimes about human emotions. Sometimes just to talk. We walked through the palace gardens at night, surrounded by glowing alien plants. She always kept distance between us. Always careful. But I noticed something. Every time she spoke about her life, her voice grew quieter. My people worship me, she said one evening. Sounds nice. It is lonely. I looked at her. Why? Because they fear me. She looked down at her hands. I cannot touch them. They cannot touch me. For a moment, the powerful queen looked incredibly small. I have ruled for 312 years, she said softly. And in all that time, no one has ever held my hand. Something in my chest tightened. That kind of loneliness was hard to imagine. Then came the day everything changed. We were walking along a balcony overlooking the capital city. Thousands of floating structures glowed beneath the purple sky. The queen leaned against the railing, watching the lights. Daniel, she said quietly. Yes. Do humans fear touch? Not usually. Why? I shrugged. It's how we connect. Comfort each other. She looked at me again. Curious. And if touch is forbidden? Then people feel alone. Her eyes softened. I understand that. Then suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the palace. Red lights flashed. Guards rushed onto the balcony. Your Majesty, one shouted. An assassination attempt. Energy blasts erupted from a nearby tower. Everything happened fast. The queen stepped back instinctively, but one blast struck the balcony. The railing exploded. She slipped. I saw it happen in slow motion. If she fell, it was hundreds of meters to the city below. There was no time to think. I lunged forward and grabbed her hand. The moment our skin touched, the entire world seemed to freeze. Blue energy exploded around us. The guards shouted. Some screamed. They expected me to die instantly. But something strange happened. The energy surged, then calmed. Instead of burning me, it flowed around my arm like liquid light. The queen's eyes widened. You touched me, she whispered. Yeah, I said breathlessly. Sorry about that. But I didn't let go. Because she was still slipping. I pulled her back onto the balcony. The assassins were quickly captured by the guards. But no one in the palace cared about that anymore. They were staring at us. At our hands. Still touching. The impossible had happened. A human had touched the queen. And survived. Later that night, the palace council demanded an explanation. Scientists scanned me. Medical teams ran every test imaginable. But they found nothing unusual. No protective suit. No technology. Just a human. Finally, the chief scientist turned to the queen. Your Majesty, his biology appears to stabilize your energy field. The room went silent. What does that mean? I asked. It means, the scientist said slowly, he is the only being we have ever observed who can safely touch you. The queen looked at me. Her expression was something I had never seen before. Hope. The next day, the entire empire learned the truth. For the first time in 3 centuries, the queen wasn't untouchable anymore. But only one person could cross that invisible barrier. Me. And the strangest part? The queen didn't seem interested in letting anyone else try. A week later, she summoned me privately. We stood once again in the palace gardens. The glowing trees swayed gently in the night breeze. Daniel, she said softly. Yes. She hesitated, then slowly reached out her hand. Not by accident. Not during danger. On purpose. May I try something? She asked. I smiled. You don't have to ask. I took her hand. The energy shimmered again. But it didn't harm me. For the first time in her life, Queen Lasara simply held someone's hand. Her fingers trembled slightly. This, she whispered, is what it feels like. Yeah, I said gently. She looked at me with quiet wonder. And all this time, I believed it was impossible. I shrugged. Sometimes impossible things just need the right person. She didn't let go. And for the first time in centuries, the alien queen wasn't alone anymore. Years later, historians would call that moment the beginning of a new era. Not because of politics, not because of technology, but because one simple act broke 300 years of isolation. The queen who no one could touch had finally found the one person who dared to, and the empire would never be the same again.